Peter, one of the questions that repeatedly popped up with people speaking to me about this is they were very curious about what the best way is to travel horses over these long distances. And I believe that there's been debates and studies about it. So in the flow, horses travel either horizontally or at a diagonal angle, correct?
Yes. You know, because it's commercial, we travel actually horizontal. Our trucks load on 3 levels. You know, they load in what we call the well, the back, and up over the gooseneck. But you know, ideally, if we could have, I personally think horse travel better at an angle at say 45 degrees, but it's not impossible, but it's impractical sometimes when we travel up to 60 horses on a float at a time. And because of your pickups and drop-offs, generally when you're loading at an angle, and there's wasted space, as you can imagine, in the front and the back with that, if you have to load in a big float. And there's obviously, you're only allowed so many, the length of the floats, and it narrows down how many you can load. But if I could load, pick up, one drop off, and everywhere I would try and have floats that load on an angle. I do feel that they travel better, but that being said, don't travel bad horizontally, and our petitions are always movable, so we can give more space if a horse needs more, or however we like. Some horses also like the things we don't take off when we're going into the sales, because it's obviously a stressful trip for them. You know, you can obviously have more problems taking them off and putting them back on. We generally put them and travel straight through. But that's one pickup and one drop off, and that's quite much narrower, a shorter incline.
We're busy doing some work on evaluating movements into the controlled area in the Western Cape. And so we see that the distances that horses are moving changes quite dramatically through the year if they're traveling down to the Cape. So like during March and May, the distances are the shortest, like an average of about 408 kilometers. But that's up to over 1,100 kilometers in December, which is quite interesting. So there's definitely a pattern of horse movement changes with the season, and obviously with horses needing to be in the Cape. We do look at the time horses travel just from a point estimate, but it's quite difficult because, as Peter mentioned, it's reasonable to assume that there's some stopovers and some aggregation of horses en route. So we do estimate times, but it's Peter will have a much better idea about that. Yeah, so we started to look at it more closely actually.